Thank you for laughing in the intro, Reese Marshall. Welcome to the Thomas Podcast. We're back on the Marvel train. It's been a while. I think it was the last one, considering that was Infinity War. That was in like maybe September that we filmed that, which is mad to think because I took a month off. So, and then October was fluxing and all that kind of shit. And now we're here. How are we all? I'm joined by Reese Marshall and Beef.
Hello.
For those of you that aren't on the YouTube, you're missing out on Beef's glorious beard, which he has been growing.
Only for 2 weeks.
Mate, but it looks good, you know. I reckon you could be like a shopping set. You could be like a shopping center Santa by Christmas.
Yeah, thanks for that, Chief. Yeah, but,
if you like maintained it throughout the year, I reckon
I could be Brian Blessed by summer. Yeah.
There you go. How are you, Mr. Rhys Marshall?
Yeah, no, can't complain. Just getting through the start of 2022, the winter blues, but no, can't complain.
Yeah, everyone's struggling to get through January, mate. Everyone's poor.
Exactly.
Everyone's poor.
Especially after NFCC spring.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Yes. Chuck it in when everyone's got no cash.
Oh dear.
Fucking hell. Jesus.
Well, those of us with families to pay for and things. Yeah. It's all right for you youngsters with your disposable incomes, but all us old buggers and everything like that who have to pay mortgages and are just recovering from the credit card bills of Christmas. Yeah, you just dump that on our laps. Yeah.
Late Christmas present.
Yeah. Thank you very fucking much, showmasters. Yeah.
Speaking of Christmas.
Oh, no. I'm glad people. There seems to be a lot of happy people for it, but it's sort of,
happy faces, smiley faces, all kinds of faces.
There seems to be a lot of people who are pleased about it. So, if they're happy, well, good for them.
Also, BFI on the horizon, it seems, via a few tweets today that, might not be as far away, too far away, fingers crossed. So,
yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, hopefully back to Saturdays. That'd be nice.
Please.
For us too, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because the travel on Sundays is a pain in the ass, isn't it?
It's non-existent. Yeah.
Sunday travel is really, really crap. And it's sort of like, it saves me using up all my holiday for like going out drinking at the BFI. Because I have to book the Monday off to like deal with the day off.
Exactly.
I'm good at my job, but sometimes it's sort of like I'd rather just have a lay-in the day after.
Yeah, mate. Absolutely. And the thing for me and Reese is that we have to pay for 2 nights of hotel when on the Saturday we could just pay for one and get like a 7 o'clock train. You know what I mean? So it's like, but you can't do that on Sundays because first train's like 9:30 and by the time you get to the BFI, it's like game over.
Yeah, door shut.
Door shut, you're not going to be watching whatever box set it might be.
It'd be like what's that bloke from Spider-Man 2? He's like, you can't come in. He's like, ticket.
What,
it's like it's the cinema attendant. It's from the that's it. You can't go in once the play started. Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell. Yeah, but he was going to end up playing Mysterio, wasn't it? So technically, if you want, you can still call him Mysterio.
Yeah.
Not anymore, bitch, because Sony wanted to mess around with Andrew Garfield. Hell yeah. But yes, right. Speaking of the box sets and all this sort of stuff, let's talk about animation. Some fun Doctor Who news, which might not be as bad as some people on Twitter are making it seem. Beef, you explain this.
Well, yes, that's it. Because someone on Twitter has sort of like not. They haven't gone with a retraction because that would infer that they're wrong. But the idea, basically, the principle is that these animations are part funded, not fully funded by BBC America.
Yep. And
they just chose not to continue with it. Probably because they don't get that much out of it. I don't know how the animated stories sell in the States. They sell, it wouldn't surprise me if they sell better over here than they do across the pond, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every time a new Steelbook or Blu-ray comes out, so I always see it in like the top 5 or top 10 of Amazon every day for like the next couple of weeks, so clearly it's selling well, and that's only on the Amazon sales alone. So when you put that into perspective, surely it must do some numbers.
I saw on, I don't know if it's real or not, but apparently in America they only get DVD releases for the animations. They don't get like Blu-rays or steelbooks, or apparently just get a DVD release. So
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to probably ask Elijah that. But
That's true.
The thing is, I think most like ardent US fans that we know, as soon as it's released in the UK or there's a steelbook, they order it from the UK because that's just how commerce works now.
Right.
So I've never seen what an American animation DVD release looks like. So that's probably why they've pulled it, because they're not getting the returns on it that they thought they would do.
Yeah.
But they're still going to be happening because it's just you're not going to get as many as frequently as you have been up until this point. So be thankful for the blessings you've had, and you're still going to get them.
To be fair, last year didn't we get like 3 or 4? It was like mental.
Well, you got 3.
Yeah, we've got a big bulk out of this BBC America deal thing, whatever. So yeah, like you said, a lot of the seasons now only need kind of one story animated, which is pretty cool. So
yeah,
we've got a big chunk of it.
Yeah, you got Fury, you got Evil, and you got Galaxy 4, and Web 3, I suppose, if you want to sort of be specific. So you got a lot in a short space of time. So yeah, that's it. So sometimes Doctor Who fans feel very entitled when the game's good. They all of a sudden get entitled, and they say, "Well, no, you're gonna have to wait." So no, and then they start decrying it as the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think, like you said, Beef, there's much more of a bigger picture than just the BBC American money. So even with that gone, and also, like I said, there's room that there's things always in the paper, whatever, that are looking for more funding as well. Like, so somebody else might go, actually, do you know what? I want to help with this, and there you go. Then you still have a similar cash flow, I suppose. So
yeah, that's it. Animation. Don't get me wrong. The animations to make are not cheap that much, and as they get more complex with the more complicated stories, which are unfortunately the ones that have been left the longest, that price ain't going to go down.
No.
But they've got the tools now, sort of upset, all set and ready to go to do it. So it's still expensive, but not as expensive as it could have been. So if they can get something that's more domestically based, or using the word Europe based, then that would be good, to be honest with you. It wouldn't surprise me if you had someone like Pandastorm, the guys who do all the really, really luxurious German box releases or everything like that. If they went part in on it to contribute to the animation, that would be a good thing, to be honest with you.
Those box sets are gorgeous. Like these covers are, so that's a good pitch.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'll agree with you and say that they look nice.
The German range,
just nod.
Just nod along. So they're great.
Yeah. It's great. 5 stars. Yeah. Apart from that, no real news.
Stalin.
What?
No more news, I suppose. Yeah, apart from that's it. There's been this big announcement for NFCC. So you can get Jericho, the 13th Doctor, and Yaz all on a one-stop shop. If you're rich and have no responsibilities,
disposable income.
Disposable income.
If you win the lottery.
If anyone's got any spare money and they'd like to pay for me, I'll more than happily take you off on that offer.
Yeah.
Me too. Just get a GoFundMe. Get Beef.
Good time of podcast. GoFundMe. Alex and Beef want to go meet Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
Start it.
Also, we're sort of in that January lull for releases, but there'd be.
And if you're going to a convention and you're traveling and you don't like traveling on the train, there's no better thing to keep you more entertained while you're traveling than Raycon earbuds.
Not this shit again. We are not sponsored by Raycon yet. Yeah.
Okay.
If so, I'm going to get Beef. If I ever do get a sponsor, I'm just going to get Beef to do it. It'll just cut to a VT of Beef talking about the product. Just be like, Because you've got the good like advertisement voice, I think. Quite similar to a certain Stephen Toast. Obviously, there was a new series released.
Yeah.
An overall fun time. Fun time.
That's it. It's made the start of what after the last 2 years and this year it looks like not going to be the most stellar either. It's like a little bit of sunshine to get you going. So I would say that much with regards to Toast coming back.
Toast is back and better than ever, and we hope it's not the end. I'd like them to do another couple of series in America. I think that'd be really cool. Why not? Yeah. There you go.
Definitely, they can make it work.
Yeah. Why not? Toast can do anything. He could do a series, and Toast could go around Europe. He could go anywhere. You could give him his own documentary series or something. There's so much you could do with that character. It doesn't have to be.
If he gets a job working for the Travel Channel, that would be superb. Yeah. Or in a touring theatre company.
Yeah. Obviously, along with Ray Purchase and the rest of them, because you'd have to. But yes, obviously, this week, as it says on the title, we're talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp. This obviously was released sort of in the middle between Avengers: Infinity War and Avengers: Endgame, along with Captain Marvel. Obviously, Beef, you did the first one with me. Reese, you've done the other Avengers films. However, this is a film that you notoriously, you've said to me, actually, this is one of my favourites, which is Reese code for doesn't like it. But so we'll get on to that in a second. This is going to be a fun one. But yeah, so quick plot rundown. This has nothing really to do with Avengers: Infinity War whatsoever. It's kind of happening, I guess, succinctly with the stuff that's going on in that time. I don't know how that works. I thought San Francisco would realize that New York's under attack and probably want to run for their fucking lives. But Ant-Man and the Wasp, as it's called quite wonderfully, I tried to save Hope Van Dyne, the Wasp's mother and Hank's wife, after there's some quantum entanglement between her and Scott after Scott went in the quantum realm in the last film. And they've got the state-of-the-art lab, which a few people are after, and essentially a massive sort of chase film trying to catch the MacGuffin for the whole time, and it kind of passes between people throughout the film. So at some point the heroes have got it, and at some point these villains have got it, and you've got to try and get it by this time, because if they go past this time, then the wall will close and they won't be able to save her. So it's a race against time as well. Meanwhile, Scott is under house arrest. So he's not meant to leave the house, so hijinks ensues with that as well. Is that a good way of explaining the film? Do you think? Have I missed anything?
No, I think you're about it. Yeah, that's it.
Right.
It's the search and rescue for Janet Van Dyne. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Michelle Pfeiffer. She's stuck in the quantum realm. We need to get her out. That's what it is. So, Reese, I'm going to go to you first. Not a massive fan of this one.
Not overly. Yeah, as I say, what you just said about obviously Janet Van Dyne, if anybody's seen Matrix 4, is basically the plot of that. So watching it being like, okay. I just find it bland, to be honest. I don't know why, but Ant-Man seems more exciting in not his own films. I don't know. It's just I say I loved all the characters. It's great to see Hope be the Wasp and stuff with his daughter, and that's great. Is it Wu who was in WandaVision?
Yeah, Wu.
He's hilarious.
Jimmy Wu, yeah.
So it's got some great characters in it, but I just find the film really bland. It's just a runabout. It's just
Yeah, the plot doesn't I think doesn't work because you don't. I think the main thing, if it was a character that we sort of care about, so if Scott was stuck in there for the whole film or something, and it was trying to get Scott, maybe it would work better. But we're sort of trying to save a mystery character here that we have no connection to. So I think you're kind of sat there going, well, okay, all right. We're told that she obviously was the former Wasp and whatever, but I don't really think there's that connection there to really care about her or whatever, to be honest.
Yeah, slightly. Yeah.
Would you make of it, Beef?
I'm usually like resoundingly positive, even on like the ones that are a bit iffy.
Yeah.
And because this is directed by the same guy that directed the first one, Peyton Reed.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of like good things to it. But what it really does is like pretty much what Risa said, it sort of lacks a focus.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's the problem is while the first film was like quite simplistic and cookie cutter, you sort of got behind what Hope and Hank were doing. And Hank's a bit of an asshole in this, to be honest with you. He's actually really unlikable because they're willing to, you know, his character seems willing to throw Scott under the bus, to be honest with you, at this. And sort of like little consideration is given to him after everything he's done. And he just gets a really rough ride, I think, for the first half to 2/3 of the movie. You know, there's only one point that Hank actually says thank you to him after everything he's done and everything he's jeopardized to put to risk to benefit for something that doesn't actually benefit him at all. And Ant-Man sort of becomes secondary in this film to the Wasp, because in the first film you get this idea that Scott is like he can, you see him training. He's already quite smart. He's got the sort of electronics degree, the science degree, and everything like that. And that's sort of forgotten about by this film.
I've forgotten that entirely. Yes.
Yeah. So he's made out to be pretty much like a bit of a bumbling idiot for a lot of it, which is a pity. So where like. It lacks strong focus because they're trying to avoid the FBI, which is a new concept in film, sticking it to the man. You've then got Ghost, who's a character that we meet, who's in essence you're supposed to have a bit of sympathy for, so you haven't really got a true villain in that respect yet, because you feel a sympathy for them. And then the other one is Walton Goggins, who is very funny in the bits that he does and everything like that. But even then,
he disappears. That's what I realized. He just disappears for like an hour and a bit.
His character is just basically a plot device so they can have a car chase.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so that's it. So and apart from just getting Janet back, it does. There's no real sort of bad to it that they're doing. So there's fun elements to it, and it looks really good. But it's just I'm trying to think of an idea of like some of the stuff that I like to it. The de-aging on it is really
incredible.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Knowing sort of and seeing for many, many years people like Michelle Pfeiffer and Michael Douglas in movies, the de-aging is like really, really good.
Yeah.
But the story just lacks substance. So it's nice, it's fluffy, but don't do much.
Yeah, I think as well, one thing you can comment, you can praise this film is it is legitimately funny. There are those MCU films that sometimes go for comedy and fall flat on their face. This film does make me laugh. I think you've got an aspect of Paul Rudd in there who is just legitimately charismatic. But overall, his
charm carries it. Yeah.
Mm. You do laugh a lot during this, and it is a good time. For me, I think it also has a problem with way too many characters, and I think there's and when we literally spoke about Infinity War, which has so many more, but yet the story feels like it requires that many, whereas this, it doesn't feel like that. And you have Ghosts, you have Lawrence Fishburne, you have Walton Goggins, you have his cronies that are following him up as well. You have so many people. You have Wu, you have the other FBI agent who just gets killed randomly. And plus other characters that we had in the last film. And then you had to add Janet into the mix as well. It's sort of like there's so much to kind of fit into this small, self-contained film that you sort of, it just sort of like you forget about the script has to forget about characters at random points.
Yeah, that's it. No, yeah, it should have like you could have dropped the sort of the Walton Goggins crime guy. Was it something Bush or something like that? Basically, drop them and focus on more of the Janet thing. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
because like you say, yeah, the comedy is strong. Paul Rudd has this amazing likability factor, and he's cut his teeth on doing so many comedy films anyway. That carries through. I love Randall Park. Randall Park and Jimmy Woo is just he has a certain style of comedy that is like straight-laced and everything like that. So when he goes down to speak to Cassie and say, well, like schools have rules and everything like that, says you can't draw on the walls. Well, the thing is, your daddy went to Germany and then goes into this very deep and then goes, you okay with that? It's sort of like because he thinks it's like completely normal way to talk to a kid.
Yeah,
I think that's great. Dave Desmouchin, like we said before, and when we did, I think the first Ant-Man movie, I said how Dave Desmouchin is great. He showed up in Suicide Squad and just shows how great he is. To be honest with you, in that because he's one of the standout stars of that. Where he does like the Baba Yaga stuff with Ghost is fantastic.
Yeah.
Luis, so yeah, there's like little flashes of like really good comedy stuff.
Yeah, Luis is fantastic as well. I think he's Michael Pena is always funny in this role. Like you obviously get another massive story time thing with him, which is always funny. And I love the way that those are directed because obviously the actors are clearly having a great time, just having to be really over expressive as he's explaining the story, which is really fun. And then you have even the action looks good in this film. You can't really knock it. The car chase looks great. This is the first time I've actually watched an MCU film on Disney Plus where they've added the IMAX feature in. So things that were shot in IMAX will extend for those sequences. So during that sequences, my TV would actually extend as if it was like an IMAX screen, which is pretty cool. And then we go back to 16:9 for those that weren't shot like that.
Did yours not like cut to though? Because I found mine was like from that and it actually transitioned to IMAX in certain scenes. Instead of it being like a cut to a
it was sometimes transition, but then it was sometimes cut. It depended on which one it was, I think. But yeah, overall, I think that's a fun feature. It really does show how brilliant this is made. But obviously, again, some comedy in the action with like the big Pez dispensers and things like that, the salt shaker. I think, like you said, there was like Biff said, there's some really nice stuff in there. It's just the edges are a bit rough, and it sort of just derails the entertainment value of the main plot.
Yeah, that's it. One of the things that you had that was done really well in the first film was like Ant-Man being teeny tiny and interacting with a big world, and you sort of had that in the early part of it with the fight in the restaurant. And then after that you didn't really get that much of it after that point, and that's where I think you sort of lost it, to be honest with you. You lost the point of Ant-Man being small. There's lots of like nerdy stuff for comic book geeks like me, to be honest with you. So where they talk about like the Goliath thing and stuff like that, that was like a reverse version of Ant-Man where the guy got big and everything like that. That's cool, but you don't feel any. Well, you're supposed to feel sorry for Ghost as a character because it's a sort of someone else who's been affected by association with Hank Pym, like Scott has and like Janet has ultimately. But her story is so sort of like wafer thin because it's not really looked into. You don't really feel a connection to her character. So you just sort of say, well, yeah, okay, she needs this energy to stop her coming apart. And then I think by the time you get to the end and you pull Janet out of the quantum realm, just to have like a sort of, she's got a magic touch, is sort of like it's not earned.
Yeah, exactly. And there are parts of the story which just seem to get dropped. So there's a scene between Ghost and Lawrence Fishburne. I don't remember Lawrence Fishburne's name. He's Lawrence Fishburne. And essentially she's like, oh, I will, it's after the three heroes escape their compound. She's like, oh, Scott's got a kid, right? I'll go get her. And Fishburne's like, well, don't do that. She's like, I'm going to do it anyway. And then you just never see it happen. And you're like, okay, right.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
Yeah.
What?
It never gets sort of followed through.
No. You just sort of sat there and you go, right. Also, Lawrence Fishburne, right? I think, I forget his name. Him and Hank Pym.
Something or other.
Yeah. He has a bit of an issue with Hank Pym, and there's a past there. But Beef, like you said earlier on, because Hank Pym's an asshole throughout this, you don't really care. You're just sort of like, well, Hank Pym is an asshole. You actually agree with Lawrence Fishburne.
He just actually comes across as a really sort of You actually sour to him, whereas in the first one you feel like he was pushed out of his own company. He's working for a greater good, which is trying to stop his technology falling into the wrong hands, which is why he left Shield in the first place. And now it's a case of he's just left all this doesn't care about people, to be honest with you. And there are all these people. So like there was a scientist, the Ghost's father was discredited as a scientist, debunked, and he was working out of his own random place in Argentina that all went horribly wrong. Bill was working with him at Shield, and he walked out on the project because Hank was such an arsehole, whereas Hank was adamant that he fired him.
It feels like the kind of like Iron Man approach, where like all the villains are kind of created from. It's like they kind of like, oh yeah, I blame Hank Pym because of da 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 da. So yeah, it kind of felt like they would.
It's just, I think that's the frustrating aspect of the film, is that all the villains are sort of a bit shortchanged. So like Sonny Birch, I mean, Beef couldn't even remember his name, he just called Morton Goggin, because Sonny Birch doesn't even turn up. He turns up at the beginning and says, no, I know you're Hope Van Dyne. I'm not going to say this part. So then she kicks the shit out of them, and then for some reason doesn't take the money back, which I found strange. Like, if you know that he's actually... why would you give him the money? If he's onto you, just take the money back, Hope, as well. Because they're also struggling. It's like revealed that they're struggling at the start of the film. That's a big part of, Scott, you went to Germany and now we're a family struggling and it's all your fault. And she's like, I'm willing to give, Sonny what appears to be a good sum of money. And then she finds out, actually, love, we don't want your money. We want to take over your business. And she's like, nah, doesn't take the money back. It's like, it's little things like that, which obviously is like a really small nitpick, but overall just takes the weight off of the impact of what's going on. You know what I mean?
That's it. And I would have thought Hank would have been, he stole the suit and went to Germany, but he was also sticking two fingers up to Shield and the authority and everything like that. So you think that that's something that Hank could relate to, having left Shield in the way he did in the first film. So also, that's why it seemed like inconsistent with the character that you've already set up. You've just retconned basically 3 of your main characters.
Yeah, and also, I spent the first I think it was the one watched it probably about 10 months ago now. But I remember him not disliking the Avengers, but disliking Tony Stark or Howard. So he wasn't even on Team Tony. He was working against Tony Stark, like you said, Beef. It doesn't really make sense. He wasn't working for Stark, So it doesn't.
And not being funny, in the first film, you have Scott take out Falcon, who's an Avenger, but his abilities on this are sort of neutered to a certain degree.
Yeah, he just seems to struggle against everyone, which is
Well, they give him a dodgy suit, don't they?
Yeah.
Don't they give him a malfunction suit?
Yeah, which again has its own comedy bits in it itself. But I also feel like it. Again, I don't know whether there's a bit of dialogue or whatever, but it's a big MacGuffin or big part of the first film. I was going to say, it seems like it just disappears in the second half of the movie. He doesn't really have any more problems. Apart from there's a good hour again where it goes. He gets it right at the end again, but after they go to the compound and after they get that trophy, it doesn't malfunction again to the very end of the film, and he can sort of just use it entirely correctly again. And it's sort of like
when the plot
requires it.
into it.
But that
Plot convenience, yeah.
Which this film requires a lot of, because it's like, oh, Sonny knows this person who we saw in the background of the first scene for the FBI, and then they just get randomly killed by ghosts. So they set him up to be sort of like a double crosser to Wu, when actually he serves no purpose at all, because they get caught by the FBI, but then escape. I looked at this, not 4 minutes later from when they're captured, do they then escape from the FBI, which means that plot line is absolutely pointless. It would actually have been interesting to see Ant-Man have a little bit of his own segment in this, where he's trying to do things on his own for a bit. It just feels like there's a lot of potential wasted when you look at this.
Oh yeah, that's it. When you've got buildings that I'm trying to work out, like, how the hell is Hank going to live in that house by the beach when there's no plumbing or electric?
Oh dear, this is true.
I can't answer that. I can't.
That's it. Yeah. How come Janet Van Dyne has been in the quantum realm for the best part of 20 years and aged, but Scott was there for 5 years and didn't age at all? Or is that just because Paul Rudd is immortal?
Yeah, does that just add into the Paul Rudd is immortal theory?
Yeah.
Because I
mean,
right.
the one thing I did pick up on this that I actually didn't pick up, I think the first couple of times I saw it, is that when they go and see when they go to meet Bill and he's doing the lecture to the students, and he talks about chaos and the multiverse.
Oh.
That I thought that's like quite a good little like early setup for what is going to be coming down the road.
Yeah.
Because the next film from this will tie into Doctor Strange and the big multiverse stuff that they've got coming up.
Yeah, all the Kang stuff as well.
Yeah.
We know is appearing in Ant-Man 3 Quantum Mania, which is going to be an interesting one. Is that out next year? The with all the TV shows, yes. the Marvel calendar is all over the place for me.
2023.
Oh, is it 2023? So what have we got this year? Quickly, what have we got? Doctor Strange.
Moon Knight is apparently coming at the end of March. This is the first series.
Yeah.
Which ties into nothing, so don't worry.
Yeah. Gosh, I think film-wise, you got Thor: Love and Thunder, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
That one's not been messed up at all by even more problems on set.
The Doctor Strange, the Holiday Guardians special. So that's Christmas, and then the other two Disney Plus shows I think is She-Hulk and Miss Marvel, which was meant to come first, but there's been some reshoots, so it's been shoved to the back.
So I mean, this does do a bit of world building, but it's world building well in advance.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that. Yeah, but true.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I understand why this film, because the first one was lighthearted. This was lighthearted. You wanted something that was a bit lighter after the heavy bit that was like Infinity War.
Yeah,
I get what they were going for, and I think that's why it gets forgiven a lot. But I think now that we're past that point, and you go back and you watch it again, you realise that there's a lot of holes in the sweater.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mate, I think you're entirely right there. And you've actually kind of broken this film with the end game logic of Scott doesn't age at all. And yet she's been gone for that many years and has aged that many years. Which is, when you think about it, she would have probably spent, about a day or two in there? From her perspective, and come out there, which you could say it was different fit, but they were making this at the same time. Marvel,
but she aged. She by her own admission, she adapted and evolved. So what did she do? Because it still doesn't answer. You still don't get an answer to it.
No, because also she'd have to do that in about 30 hours. And also, if we're going by the logic,
aging costs a lot.
that's pretty much it. It's because de-aging costs a lot of dough.
Don't
It
cast
was right for
Michelle.
one scene.
Don't cast Michelle Pfeiffer. Not that I don't like Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm just saying that if you want, Beef, you've actually ruined this.
I did believe in that kind of like. I did believe in like Michelle Pfeiffer and her dad. Like I thought, yeah, that's quite a good pairing.
Hank.
Cast him.
There's chemistry between them, whereas I don't actually feel much chemistry between
Scott
and Hope. To be honest with you, because at the start she's like stone cold bitch, and on all accounts they had this big relationship that happened off screen, and they split up, and it's sort of like, well, because it happened off screen, I don't really understand it, to be honest with you. So then it all comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you literally get a small bit of it at the end of the first Ant Man. And also, it's really weird how sort of Hank is focused on their relationship in this. He's like, can you please stop daydreaming about my daughter? That's a joke they use quite a bit in this. But Hank is just he's
third wheeling.
He's third wheeling.
Hank is just an arsey. Hank is just an arsey old man. Hank needs to get laid.
We can't in this film.
Yeah,
that's basically it. That is the character and story arc of this is Hank Pym needs to get laid.
We've broken it down. There we go.
Tagline.
Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hank Pym gets laid.
Yeah. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Hank needs poo.
Did you just say what I think you just said? Oh no! How have we got to this?
That Quantumania title has a whole new meaning now for Ant-Man.
They say she has magic hands.
This is where Quantumania hangs along a ground tree, and Beef knows that he did get laid. Beef will go, I told you. It's a Quantumania, he's like all chill and he's happy again. And Beef's like, well, I told you.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, Scott wakes up with a very strange feeling one night.
Oh God. Yeah. Overall, not much more to talk about. I like the fact as well. There's some emphasis on Scott's other parts of his life, apart from being Ant-Man. The fact he's building up this new ex-con thing, that is also really cool. It's a nice way to incorporate those characters back from the first film as well, without it just being forced in.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, because I think part of his story in the first film was his wanting to reconnect with his daughter, and I think Hank and Hope again are the obstacle in him reconnecting with his daughter, because he's stopping him finishing his house arrest or potentially putting him in danger of that. But you do have that sort of good connection between him and the daughter and his ex-wife, and I don't know, it's a very strange relationship with his ex-wife and new partner, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
maybe it's a bit of hero worship. Maybe it's a bit of hero worship. Maybe it's something for a Saturday night. I don't know.
Oh God, Jesus! How have we got here, Beef? How have we got? This is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I knew it was going there. It was going there.
How have we got here? Jesus.
Won't be on Disney Plus for much longer once I've done with it.
Yeah, no, Beef. To be fair, you actually have broken the logic of the film within the MCU's own rules of how this film exists.
They've made the film even worse.
Because the central thing of Janet being old doesn't make sense now.
Nope.
No, like at all. So you've kind of broken the film.
But they kind of like you said, they kind of retconned it after the fact. So it's like, yeah, because with Endgame, it's all.
But no, Endgame was shot back to back. So, but yeah. But again, Kevin Feige, how is he let that slip? Kevin.
But I guess it'd be weird if he had like a younger version, like.
Yeah, but that would mean
he'd
more
be happy,
cross.
but
That would.
See, look, you say I'm bad. You're taking this tone down way too far, Chief.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe, like I say, maybe if there was less unnecessary car chase and everything like that, that you could have given some time to actually addressing that point.
Yeah, exactly. It feels weird. One thing I will say, this film does have one of the best Stan Lee cameos in it. I think it always makes me laugh whenever I see with the car shrinks. And he goes, "Well, the '60s were fun, but now I'm paying for it." Well, it's one of the cool ones. Overall, it's fine. Actually, one thing I do say as well, I think Paul Rudd and the person playing Cassie are brilliant together in this. You really do get that father-daughter relationship.
Great chemistry,
Yeah, which obviously in the first one you couldn't really get because she was quite young, so her acting was limited. Whereas in this, she's obviously a bit older, so she can begin to sort of bounce off Paul Rudd a bit more. I think it works really well. I think like
it's
in those
a bit
scenes,
strange now for like Ant-Man 3 because obviously she's recast for Endgame, obviously being the older version.
It's been recast
again. Yeah,
it's Catherine Langford, isn't it? They've gone for random. Yeah, sounds like you've dyed your hair. I'm just going to pretend that she's the same character, I guess. I don't know. Also, I assumed in this that she was like 7 or maybe 8. Are they going to try and get Catherine Langford to be like 13? She's like in her early 20s. Ant-Man has broken the
5 years.
Yeah, hang on. What is the age gap? I'm working this out.
You know, films bad like you're trying to work out these kind of things, like the plot holes. It
is, it's rather because also Catherine Langford isn't coming up as being a part of the MCU, which is bizarre. This is hang on. That's like a 13-year gap. This is bad. This is like Beef. You've broken the MCU. Right. So here we go. Right. So young Cassie was born in 2008, which makes her, give or take, this film came out 2017, 9, right? 5 years on from being 9, that's 14. And it was 5? It was 5 years, wasn't it? That's the gap.
Yeah.
Catherine Langford. Is she got on those weird spellings of Catherine? Yeah, she does. Is 25 years old.
I mean, So I mean, because we know that after the first Ant-Man film, he was in Germany, then went to the Raft, spent 2 years under house arrest. So, you then, add to, so at best you could push 16, 17 at best for her character. I think that's the best you could probably do.
Exactly. I've now got it wrong. Catherine Langford isn't playing her. It's Catherine Newton. I was close. They're both called Catherine. She's 24, even
She's
older.
45.
So hang on. So either the plot starts out in Ant-Man 3 that Cassie ends up in the quantum realm in ages, which would again go past the logic of what Endgame established. How is this going to work? Ant-Man 3 is broken. This has got on my tits now. How does the quantum realm work? We got Eric Voss. If you're listening, you're not. Make a video, explain it from my head, and I assume you know who Eric Voss is. He breaks down everything to the smallest nth degree that could ever.
Is that like Rockstar?
The new Rockstar guy. Yeah, he goes. Could mean this.
He'll just say it's Mysterio. No, not Mysterio. Mephisto.
Mephisto.
Mephisto. It is Mephisto. Yeah, but Mephisto is Cassie Lang, confirmed in the MCU. No, I don't know. That has annoyed me now, Beef. You've actually annoyed me. I hate this film. It makes no sense.
Well, I'm glad if nothing else, I've made you hate and feel something towards the film, as opposed to feeling apathy.
The apathy is
gone now and just replaced by pure boiling hatred.
Boiling hatred for boiling hatred for how the fact that 2 films down the line later, this makes no sense. I don't get it. I don't. How does it? Why is my mic gone off again? Even my mic's cutting me off.
We can hear you. It's fine. We can hear you.
Yeah,
Like I say,
all right.
it's a bit of filler between the Avengers films, but it's a
But
bit
I think, like Beef said as well, when you take it out of the vacuum when it was released, because obviously it was released, the gap's a bit lighter and all that. But you take it out of that vacuum, and a few years later, when you go back to rewatch it, it actually just feels a bit lackluster. And
because when Infinity War ended, it ended on such like this massive cliffhanger, and everyone knew that there was going to be at least what was it, a year wait or a year and a half, something like that between the two, and it's just like, people just like would lap up any content. They needed to know what was going on, so anything that was Marvel related was just munched down viciously and everything like that, because they just needed to know what was going on.
Yes.
But then, so this, it's just sort of a meh part of it now that you see it on its own.
Yeah, it doesn't really. It just, it's kind of, Reese, I see why you don't like it. Beef, you've opened it up. Essentially, all I've got from this podcast is the actual plot makes no sense, and Hank really wants to get fucked.
Yeah, Hank needs that is basically it.
That's the film. And
with that, all the kind of Infinity War times as well, it's all the post credits. There's nothing to do with separate.
And it's sort of a way to put in Paul Rudd in the film, and all these new characters that we've built up, just get rid of them. Like Wasp would have been really cool in Endgame, I feel, to give her some more time. Bless you.
Turn me up, mic off. There you go. I knew it was coming.
That's all right. Yeah. But I don't know. In a vacuum, it's not actually that great.
You can see why I didn't like it now, then, because for ages, I was like, I don't like this. It's probably the worst MCU film for me. And you were like, what? And now,
I do want to say, I never said it was like the best. I just said it was like not the worst, because Hulk exists, and the next film that we have to review, which I don't like either. Not a fan of that one either. I can't wait to get to Endgame. That's a good one. But until then, guys, scores on the door. So this one, I'm going to go a 4, because even though the plot makes no sense and characters are a bit boring, it is still a fun time, because you've got those Ant-Man characters that still make it good, and the action's still pretty solid. So it's not a bad thing to watch. It's just not great. What about you, Beef?
I'll let it have a 6, purely because of the comedy aspect and Paul Rudd's likability factor. It's the comedy thing that sells it for me, because you don't, apart from Guardians, which people absolutely love, and I sort of like, I'm not as hot on Guardians, but I think these are genuinely not as hot on those, to be honest with you. I think this is more genuine laugh out loud comedy than you get in any of the other MCU films, to be honest with you.
I'd agree. I think the comedy is a strong point.
Paul Rudd really carries this, I think, from a humour point of view. And the jokes are some of the funniest ones that you'll get in this and the first movie. But unfortunately, it's just a bit of a mess.
But
and now you need Reese to score it.
Reese, score it, please. We've had a 6, we've had a 4.
Like 4.55. I say, I think the character stuff's great, but unfortunately, it's in like a bland, unfocused film. I say it's a shame, because I think the Evangeline Lilly, I think she's great to see take on the kind of the Wasp form. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm a bit worried about Ant-Man 3, because obviously you've got quite a lot of big elements of Kang come into it, and I think is Bill Murray in it as well in some capacity. I think he's been.
I've heard.
Yeah. I think he said himself. So
he's going to be the villain.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So who? Yeah. So I don't know. I've never. I say the first Ant-Man film I thought was fairly good, but this one, unfortunately, not. There's a lot better, I think, in the MCU.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's where we are. Right, guys, thank you all for joining us this week. Next week, I have no idea what it is, I'm going to be honest. After that, we've got the Royal Rumble coming up, and then we've got we've got the second year anniversary podcast. We're 2 years old coming up. Fucking hell, we're old.
Whoa.
Jesus Christ. But yes, Endgame is on the way. We're on the road to Endgame, and then after that, I've got Eternals and Spider-Man.
We're in the Endgame.
By the way, I didn't review Spider-Man. Do you want to know why? Because it came out in late December, and I was home, and I didn't bring all my podcast and shit mind with me when I watched it.
No excuse.
You know, and then by the time I went to see it a second time, I was like, everyone's on a review now, so what's the point? So I'll get round to it when we're round to it in this Marvel rundown stuff, which will be like May, hopefully. But Endgame's on the way.
People have no excuse for spoilers at that point either. Like, I've seen people still being like, should we talk about spoilers? It's like, come on.
It's like you can literally, everyone knows now, don't they? If you've avoided it, then you've stayed off the internet entirely. Yes, you can follow Mr. Garfo Forever 97, Reese Marshall on his YouTube channel, believe it or not, which is called Garfo Forever 97. I can't remember your Twitter handle because it's not easy, because it's not Reese Marshall and it's not Garfo Forever 97. It's like GF.
It's a GF97 YouTuber, isn't it?
He's on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you're not like Reese Marshall. Just isn't in your name at all, is it? On the Twitter. So like, if they were to type in your name,
I tried to go incognito, like on the YouTube.
Yeah, and you literally just outed him to the whole of the internet.
I did it a year ago.
Now people will know where he lives. And
now. Yeah, they're going to come to my house. I'm going to know Facebook notifications.
He's
calling in from a secure location somewhere that we can't advise where it is.
He's cool. He's having a rainy night in Stoke. But yeah, no, I gave away his name like a year ago, so at this point everyone knows it. Sorry, Chief. And you can follow Beef at the Beefhead for all your random Twitter needs. I think you like you say, things that come to your head, you'll tweet them. That's kind of what you get on the Beef.
That's it. I tend to stay away from drama, and because what's the point? But sometimes things just like strike me as odd and funny, and that's when I'll chime in.
And that, to be fair, do you know what? That's the charming aspects, of the odd and funny, because the timeline's boring these days of people complaining or bitching. So when you see a Beef tweet with a random picture of something that you're like, what the fuck's that? It gives you a smile on your face. But anyway, it does. But anyway, you can follow the podcast at the Timeless Pod on Twitter. You can click the link tree in the description so you can see all our other platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube. If you're listening on either of those, drop a follow, drop a sub.
Subscribe to the Timeless Podcast YouTube channel.
Indeed, please do. It's the official one. There's only one.
I believe it's share, like, and subscribe, and
share, like, and
subscribe. Comments.
Leave something in the comments if you want to. Currently, the subscribers are going mental. I hit 100 in December, and I'm at 161 already. So bizarre. I don't know what's happening. Also, we're about to be overtaken, Reese, by Avengers. We're supposed to be already, but Avengers Infinity War could be overtaking that Age of Ultron podcast.
Really?
Yeah. It's just
okay. And use code TIMESPOD for Raid Shadow Legends and they claim your exclusive fighter.
Exactly.
That.
Jesus Christ. Thank you very much for listening. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.